Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Dr. Cammy Goes Keto, where I'm working on transitioning from a standard American diet to a ketogenic diet, a low carb diet, low carb, healthy fat, and sometimes carnivore diet to eliminate a lot of the metabolic issues that I have, such as metabolic syndrome and enlarged fatty liver and a lipid profile that could use a little bit of work and elevated insulin and insulin resistance and all of those things that I have gotten after being a binge eater for decades and drowning my sorrows in sugar and all different kinds of sugar and a very intricate system that I had set up for all of that after my second son passed away. And I didn't want to be around anymore. I wanted to die, but I got to stick around and raise two boys who are now the most wonderful things, doing great and very, very grateful. So today in this video, I just wanted to talk a little bit about my feelings and my emotions and what's going on with me today. I'm tomorrow's 60 days, no sugar, no flour, no caffeine. And I have to say that the thing I'm missing the most by far is the caffeine. And the second thing that I miss the most is the flour. Having like going to Taco Tuesday and being able to actually eat, the corn tortilla or a flour tortilla or something in addition to the meat and the fixings that go inside of it, and just kind of missing out on those things. And I do have to report that yesterday I ate sweet potato fries, which are loaded with carbs. I'm not even checking my ketones because it's going to trash it for 3 days. And the day before that, I ate chips, Lay's potato chips, and it wasn't just like that little individual bag. It was like the 400 calorie bag, I think it was. I think there were 38 carbs in that bag of chips. And then I proceeded to come home and eat a rice cake, which has 7 carbs in it. So I know my carbs were probably over 50 grams on that day. So, but no binging, and happy with that. But, just sometimes it's hard to be on this journey. Sometimes I'm in what I call my fat, ugly, depressed mood. That used to be the mood that I would get when I was younger and I would PMS. The only time I would really feel like that is when I was off of the birth control pill and my husband and I were trying to conceive a baby. And every time I would start feeling fat, ugly, and depressed, and I knew my period was coming, I knew I wasn't pregnant, and I hated that feeling. I hated being in that situation. And that's when I double ran over the boys' Game Boy with my car intentionally because they were fighting over it in the back seat of the car. And then my older one started talking to the younger one. They must have been about 4 and 5 years old. 4.5, 5, 6. He started talking to the younger one who was crying about warranties and how there's these things called warranties and how he knew what a warranty was. I had no idea. But the warranty wasn't going to work when your mom had PMS and ran over it twice intentionally. But anyway, just kind of feeling down like that. The holidays are around and I'm feeling a little lonely. People are busy doing things with their families and their partners, and I don't have a partner right now. So just feeling that too. Just, my OA sponsor told me the other day, shared with me about how she has a friend who has MS and is getting worse and is in a wheelchair. And, it puts really things in perspective, right? I mean, yes, I deal with this issue with food. There's a lot of things that go along with it that I don't really like or care for. But there's things that could be so much worse than having an eating disorder and dealing with this. And, in AA, we talk about how alcohol is cunning, baffling, and powerful. But to me, food is so much more. I wrote some words down the other day about it, that not only is it cunning, baffling, and powerful, it's also manipulating. It's unrelenting. It just is always there waiting, waiting, waiting for you to have a moment of weakness. Always, at least for me for now. And it's very creative. It's very conniving. It's very deceitful. The word evil comes to mind, where it just is so difficult to fight the fight. And sometimes I just get tired, guys. Sometimes I just don't want to fight the fight. But, what always ends up happening is that I end up thinking about if I didn't do the fight, then I would be probably 300 pounds and counting, with all of the food that I would be eating. So that's, the alternative for me. And that's not a good alternative. That's not one that I want to choose or want to take. I want to be around. I want to live. I want to be there for grandchildren if there's ever any that come along. I want to be there for my sons. I want to, have fun. I want to enjoy life. And today I was driving to the gym and it was early. It was like not even 6 a.m. and the sun was coming up. And there was this wonderful little sunrise that I saw along the freeway as I was looking to the left. And it was so beautiful and very peaceful. And it just made me happy. And I thought, this is really nice. This is nice to have some happiness that doesn't involve food and doesn't involve those kinds of things. And I was writing the other day about step 2 in my OA program, came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity, which I didn't really have a lot of sanity before this whole thing. I've never really had a lot of sanity growing up in my life. Well, I guess I've had some sanity, but not serenity. But in any case, I wrote here that it's really hard for me to give up a sick and twisted, vicious cycle of binging. The joy, the sneakiness, the drama, the excitement, the high that you get biochemically. And then I would follow it with punishment and shame and guilt. And that's what I know. That's what my MO is. It's been that way since I can remember, since I was 6, 7, 8 years old, binging up in my girlfriend's treehouse on penny candy till I couldn't move and doing it more than once. But then I wrote here, I felt happy when I was starting a binge. How do I get that happiness in food sobriety? And so that's what I think I want to think about today is how do I get that happiness in food sobriety and in abstinence? It has to be from other ways. It has to be from other means. It has to be the little things that you do that are self-care. It has to be things that all of us should be doing anyway, paying attention to nature, helping each other out, being kind, being helpful, looking at things that are going right. When there's one thing going wrong, trying to find 2 or 3 things that are going right, those kinds of things. So, creating that little shift and that little attitude of gratitude. So I just wanted to share that with you today and let you know that that's how I'm feeling when I'm coming up on around 2 months of abstinence. Yeah. So initially I made that 90-day commitment. So in theory, I'm like 2/3 of the way done, but I'm really interested in doing it longer than that. I feel good for the most part, and today's kind of a down day, but I would take it over the way that I was feeling and behaving previously for sure. And I'm down 10 pounds, right? I mean, I go to weigh in this Saturday, so we'll see if I'm down anything with those lovely sweet potato fries and chips and a good amount of food that I'm still eating too every day. But yeah. And Thanksgiving came and I didn't go to the gym for 4 days and all that good stuff, but we'll see. All right, everybody, take care, hang in there, have an attitude of gratitude, be grateful for the things that you have, even though if you're dealing with eating and those issues, it can be pretty brutal. All right, everybody, take care. And you can come see me too for one-on-one coaching. I'll put it in the end of the description, my website, CamelaMcGrath.com. All right, everybody, take care. Bye.